Hello, my friend. I know this is a season that we are celebrating excitement and joy and the fun, but I also want to be sensitive to those of you who are navigating a loss during the holiday. And as a quick note, I have to tell you, I am not a professional, a mental health professional. I'm just a friend sharing lived experiences and faith-filled encouragement. If you are struggling, please talk with a counselor, your pastor, or a trusted friend. But I would not do you any service at all if I did not address this subject. So I want to lean in. So my first big loss was when my father died. He died in January. So our family had time before the holidays to begin our grieving process. Everyone's timeline's different. We lose people at different points of our lives. But for me, because number one, we were a military family as a child. I grew up as an army brat. We've always said goodbyes. We've always constantly, since I was a kid, having to say goodbye. Either I was leaving or a friend was leaving across the states, across the country, across the world even. So it was, I remember reading years ago that when you are constantly saying goodbye, it is kind of a little bit of preparation for when there is a real death. So that's not everyone's story. And if that's not your story, I do want you to know, and whether it is or not, I want you to know that there is no timeline for grief. A lot of times you'll hear people say, oh, it's been a long time. You need to get over that. There's no timeline, and there's no formula for getting through it or over it. It's all about how you're going to navigate, how your personality. I will say that there is a program called Grief Share that's generally in churches that you can go and get help. It's like a 12-week program, I believe. There's online and in-person sessions that you can attend. I've also seen at our community center, there's flyers posted and they have some type of grief counseling as well, or grief classes as well. So if you are struggling, my first thing will be to tell you, reach out. Whether it's a trusted friend, a pastor, a program like Grief Share, a counselor, just lean in to the support that you have, because you really are not alone in this. Sometimes it feels like you are, but you're not. And I want you to choose what comforts you and skip what really hurts. There's no rule book, and you can change your mind year to year how you're going to navigate the holiday. But I really would encourage you not to isolate. This is not the time for that. So I would really recommend, like now, before you get really heavy and a heavy heart, I would say have an accountability friend who you can say, now, listen, if I'm feeling like, if it looks like I'm isolating, please, I give you permission to just walk with me, hold me, walk me through this process, because isolation is not necessarily your best part of this healing process. Grief is hard, and I want you to navigate it. And it's harder during the holidays. It's just hard. And when you see other people enjoying it, looks like their life's going on and you may feel stuck, I just want you to know you have support. Reach out to someone who can help you with that. Now, sometimes you may not feel like getting physically out the door. If you can, even if it's for 30 minutes, that would be fabulous. The fresh air would do you well, but maybe you're more of an introverted person. So I would say make a connection. It doesn't have to be a party. It could be a walk with a friend. It could be going to church. And being in a community there. And even if it's online services, that can help. But just don't get stuck with isolation, because that is that's not going to help you as well with your grieving process. Now, I wrote down a few ideas that you may want to look into. Like, for instance, I told you that my father died, and every year, every Thanksgiving, we would have sweet potato pie. And every year, before we, I guess for breakfast, before any of us were really around the dining room table, my dad always took a slice of a pie. He always did, every year. And then every year my mom's like, why'd you take the pie? It's for dinner, dessert after dinner. And it was always this thing. So that first Thanksgiving, so what I did was I took a slice of pie. I cut that pie. And so that was my way of honoring and remembering my father, by having that slice of pie taken out. And everyone's able to see, there's a slice of pie missing. So that was a way of honoring him. When my nephew died, what I did was, for the holiday, make his favorite cookies. Every year, he would request the chocolate crinkles. So every year, now, from since he left us, I make those chocolate crinkles. It's my way of having him close to my heart. So that was special to me. What some people do is they'll make a special meal. If that person that's no longer with you, if there's a special meal that they enjoyed, a special dish that they enjoyed, include that in your holiday meals. You may want to think about having an ornament on a tree. If you're going to put a tree up, have an ornament that represents them. And that could be something that you have year after year. I can even see how that would be a wonderful family tradition that gets passed on from generation to generation. And so maybe there's people in the family that's coming, later, because there are always more people coming. And it's that story that you can always tell, well, this ornament represents that person. And you can share some things about that person. You may want to save a seat at the table for that person. That first year, you may not want someone sitting in their seat. Maybe that second or third year, it might feel invasive to have someone sitting in that person's seat. And so you can have it empty as a way of honoring that person. Maybe you would like to put flowers on at the gravesite. Or when I've gone to gravesites, I've seen like all kinds of things. It's not even flowers. There's all kind of different things that you can do that gives memory to that person. Really helps you. How the memory gives you that really warm and fuzzy way of keeping that person close to your heart. It can be a great time to go through photo albums if it's not too hard, if it's not too fresh of a time. Going through the photo albums and going through the photo albums with someone else in the family who was close to that person, and sharing your memories with each other about that person, and laughing and about it, like, oh, remember this, remember that. So again, a way of keeping that person close to your heart. You might even want to have a quilt made in honor of that person, and maybe have that quilt put out every year at the holidays, a way of keeping the person close to you. Some people like to light a candle as a way of honoring them at the dinner. But you can pause traditions. Holidays may never look the same, or may never even feel the same with that person gone. And you don't have to do the same traditions. If it's too hard, you can tweak some things up or put a pause on it for a year or 2 or 3 and come back to the traditions when you're ready, or just make totally new traditions. But just knowing that you're moving forward and loving that person and honoring that person, you're never going to forget that person. You are always going to carry that person in your heart the first several years, first few years at least. And especially that first year is really hard. It is a time you will be navigating a loss in the holiday. It's a hard time, but it gets easier. You get through it as the time goes on and as you're leaning into healing for the grief healing. Now, if you are a faith-based person like me, I know I have the hope that I will see my dad again. I will see my nephew again. Yes, I still miss them, but it just gives me a little bit of a different take, knowing that I will see my loved one again. So I kind of look at it as if they move to a different city that I won't be able to go to, or they move to another country and I don't get to go visit them. But I know I will visit them again at some point. So again, I hope that this is helpful for you. Again, this is just some of my experiences that I'm sharing with you and trying to give you some a faith-filled encouragement, and knowing that you are not alone. Reach out again to a pastor, a counselor, a trusted friend that can walk this journey along with you. It feels like you're all alone, but you do have a community. So I hope that helps you, and have a blessed season, my friend, and love you. See you in the next video.